This didn't make any sense to her. How did a melody that she had locked down over the summer, last summer, suddenly appear on Jennifer Lopez's album? This was something that really bothered her.
Baby, I know you've probably heard people say that Beyoncé and Jennifer Lopez have made other artists leave the music industry. But did Beyoncé and J.Lo really take the career that was supposed to be Mariah Carey's? Not by accident. Not just by chance, but on purpose. Like they planned it carefully and made her step aside so they could take her place. Wow, if this is true. And this story, allegedly, is coming from Mariah herself. Allegedly. Let's see what happens.
Have you heard Beyoncé Drunk in Love?
I don't know that. I love Beyonce, but I have not.
Mariah just flew in from her own planet, I'm telling you. This is Mariah's.
From my own planet?
Yes.
I did.
Yes, absolutely.
And I don't...
Okay, one thing we cannot deny is that in the 90s, Mariah was dominating charts, writing her own hits, producing her own albums, and controlling...
One thing we can't ignore is that in the 90s, Mariah Carey was running the music charts. She was writing her own songs, producing her own albums, and managing her own image in a music industry that usually didn't let women, especially women of color, have that kind of control. She was glamorous, mysterious, mixed race, and making music in every style. She set the standard, no question. In fact, if you look back, you'll see that even Beyoncé used to talk about Mariah like she was everything: the sun, the moon, and the ultimate voice. Beyoncé has even said that Mariah is the reason she started singing. A young Beyoncé wasn't mentioning Whitney Houston or Aretha Franklin in the same way. It was all about Mariah. Mariah was the blueprint, the icon. And get this, Beyoncé has said that vision of love is what made her fall in love with singing. Mariah was one of her biggest inspirations. If you really look, you can find videos and interviews of young Beyoncé clearly amazed and totally excited about Mariah's voice and star power.
Mariah Carey's voice comes from God. You can hear the gospel in her voice. It's very nice to see her in the church. The whole message in the video was just vision of love. Was one of the first songs I heard when I was a kid, where I heard all of these riffs, and I was like, how does she do that? In this little short amount of time, the amount of notes she could squeeze in that one little bar, 2 bars, was fascinating to me. And that's kind of when I started trying it. And it's something that I love to do in my music, but she completely inspired.
Honey, I'm not sure if something actually happened between them, but suddenly, the shout-outs and the fangirling stopped. People started to believe that maybe Beyoncé began to think she was better than Mariah Carey. Let's be honest, Mariah's legacy is huge, but she doesn't always get the same respect as legends like Michael Jackson or Prince. Sure, she's known as the queen of vocals, but the media often paints her as a flashy, over-the-top diva who only shows up every December in heels and a Santa outfit. Beyoncé, on the other hand, wants to be remembered like Michael Jackson or as the female version of Prince, someone who changed music, visuals, and culture in a big way. If that's what Beyoncé is aiming for, maybe she doesn't see Mariah as someone who fits into that story, like many people have been saying. But here's the thing. Beyoncé's rise to the top wasn't just because she's talented. Some people believe that Beyoncé and her husband used their connections to help her career grow while quietly pushing Mariah's career down. They didn't directly take anything, but they may have influenced things behind the scenes to give Beyoncé more opportunities at Mariah's expense. Some say that's just how the industry works. Those who play the game and please the right people get ahead, even if other, more talented artists like Mariah get pushed aside. And this brings us to someone else, Jennifer Lopez. Around the same time, J.Lo also became really popular. She's beautiful and talented, sure, but vocally she's nowhere near Mariah's level. Still, J.Lo was given everything: movies, fashion deals, perfume lines, a Super Bowl halftime show, you name it. While we can't directly say Beyoncé blocked Mariah's career, what happened with J.Lo is much more obvious. When Mariah was having problems with her ex-husband Tommy Mottola, she was working on her movie Glitter. Mariah had gotten permission to use a part of the 1978 song Firecracker by Yellow Magic Orchestra for her single Loverboy. But Mariah was shocked when she heard the same music she planned to use show up on J.Lo's album. At that time, J.Lo was somewhat famous from In Living Color, but she had trouble making it big as a singer. Because honestly, she wasn't a great singer. She also couldn't get on Broadway because her singing and acting weren't strong enough. That's where Tommy Mottola comes in. He was still married to Mariah, but their marriage was falling apart. Mariah wanted to leave both him and her Sony contract, but Tommy didn't want to let her go easily. So to hurt her, he gave the song Mariah had worked on, Loverboy, to J.Lo instead. He pretty much buried Mariah's version and released J.Lo's. The crazy thing is, J.Lo knew what was happening and went along with it. Mariah knew Tommy was behind all of this. She even wrote about it in her book, The Meaning of Mariah Carey. Much of what went wrong with Glitter led back to Tommy. He was very angry about the divorce and my departure from Sony, and he used all his power and connections to punish me. There was no way he would allow me to have a huge success after leaving him and Sony. He was not going to let me or Glitter shine after hearing my new song using the same sample I used. Sony rushed to make a single for another female entertainer on that label whom I don't know, talking about Mariah mentioning people she doesn't really know. Do you all remember when someone asked Mariah what she thought about other female singers in the music industry? She said nice things about Beyoncé, calling her sweet and a good songwriter. But then, when they asked her what she thought about Jennifer Lopez, Mariah simply said, "I don't know her." That moment will always be unforgettable. Later, in a 2002 interview on Larry King Live, Larry King asked Mariah if there were any problems or drama in the music business, especially between her and J.Lo. Mariah basically said, "There's no competition if the other person can't sing. Ouch."
There are rivalries, but I don't think she has anything to do with me. I mean, my whole thing is singing, writing songs.
An actress.
Yeah, and I've been doing this, my whole life. Singing is first and foremost. It's a God-given talent that I'm grateful for. Her thing is something different.
Mariah Carey also made a shady comment about the rumors that J.Lo doesn't really sing her own songs. In an interview with Talk Magazine, Mariah said she only slept 3 hours a night because of her busy singing schedule. When J.Lo said she slept 8 hours a night, Mariah replied, "If I had the luxury of not having to sing my own songs, darling, I would do that too." Mariah wasn't just making things up. The talk about J.Lo not being able to sing has been around for a long time. For example, when J.Lo released her song I'm Real in September 2001, it came from her second album, J.Lo. But Ashanti later said that the song was actually meant for her. She didn't understand why Irv Gotti, the boss of her record label Murder Inc., gave the song to J.Lo instead. Ashanti had already recorded the song with her own voice, and they kept her vocals in the final version because reportedly, J.Lo couldn't sing it well enough. That's why you can still hear Ashanti's voice in the background of J.Lo's version. Also, I'm Real was originally meant for Mariah Carey, but it was passed to Ashanti and then to J.Lo. Irv Gotti has said that Tommy Mottola, Mariah's ex-husband, told him to give the song to J.Lo just to upset Mariah. It seems like they knew Ashanti would never agree to help hurt Mariah's career, so they gave it to J.Lo instead. And it's not just I'm Real. Did you know Ashanti also wrote another big J.Lo hit, Ain't It Funny? Ashanti wrote the lyrics, sang the chorus, and even added extra vocals. J.Lo just had to show up and sing a little to finish the song.
How did that J.Lo record actually happen? You wrote the song for yourself, or you wrote it for J.Lo?
I wrote it for J.Lo.
J.Lo almost stole the song What's Love. Actually, it was Joe who said that the song was almost taken from Ashanti and given to J.Lo. J.Lo knew the song already belonged to Ashanti, but she was still happy to take it from her. Irv and Jaw had called me, and they woke me up like 3 in the morning and they say, "Yo, come down, we made a song for you." I go to the studio, it was like 4 in the morning they played What's Love, and You Want It, and they was telling me, "Yo, this is for you and J.Lo. We want the Latinos on this. Ashanti talked about how she didn't get credit for her work. It took her more than 20 years to finally speak up and admit that she was treated very unfairly in the music industry. She said this in an interview with Metro UK. You should always care about credit for what you do, regardless of what industry you're in. It's really important to give credit, especially nowadays because things are so smoking mirrors. It's frustrating. The word has been getting out over the past couple of years, and I'm grateful, so a lot of people know and they were surprised, but it's more of a, grateful that, In the interview, Ashanti also talked about how she felt when people like J.Lo used her voice but didn't give her credit. She said, "It's strange because at first you feel upset about not getting credit or not being properly named, but later, people admire you for it." Just so you know, this isn't only about Ashanti. There's a long list of artists, especially black artists, who J.Lo has been accused of stealing from. The same thing has been said about Beyoncé. Now, people are saying Mariah Carey might finally be ready to tell her side of the story. She may share what really happened behind the scenes, like the backstabbing, the stolen songs, the music industry tricks, and even the quiet roles that Beyoncé and J.Lo might have played in it all. Sources close to Mariah say she's working on something. Maybe a second part of her book, a documentary, or maybe she's just waiting for the right time to tell the truth. If she does, we might finally get answers to the rumors that have been around for years. Was J.Lo knowingly used to help take Mariah down during the glitter era? Did Beyoncé really pull away from Mariah because it didn't help her image anymore? Or did the music industry just decide that Mariah was too much, too emotional, too honest, too outspoken, and move on to someone else? Child, all I know is it's going to be messy. But let me know what you think in the comments below.